Let me do this. Do you need a hand with my No, I'm just gonna, yeah, thank you. Can you all hear the music? Can you guys hear me? You cannot. Okay. Yeah. I might be muted. That could be the problem. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me now? You can. Okay, yay. Hello, lovely ladies. We're gonna just take a moment and allow others to trickle in. Let's see, I see somebody in the chat. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So we'll just take a moment while we're waiting to see who joins us, and can take a moment just to set an intention for your own practice today, your own recalibration. Right, I am going to just begin my screen share again. Okay. Well, thank you guys for being here. I think we're going to have more folks joining us. There's another one coming in. So welcome, you guys. Welcome to the Recalibration Retreat. I so appreciate you making time to be here. And essentially our agenda is that we are going to just share and chat for about 20 minutes or so, just mostly so that we can better understand the practice that we're about to do. And then we're going to spend the rest of the time, about an hour and a half, just in a restorative yoga practice. We'll be doing some yoga nidra, we'll be doing some meditation, some breath work. So this really is, an opportunity for us to essentially practice some recalibration for the next hour and a half at least. So as I just let a few more in, make sure I got everybody. Yeah, okay, wonderful. All right, so hang on, the technology piece, you guys, just bear with me. Hang on. How do I exit that? There we go, got it. Okay, so what I'd love to do, before we get started, or as we get started here, let's all just take a moment and close our eyes. And we'll just take a moment to connect. So just coming into the breath, right, wherever you are. Just bringing our awareness to the inhale and the exhale breath. Just feeling with each inhale as if the breath can pour in through the nose and travel down the spine, cooling in the low belly, and just rooting us to the earth. And with each exhale, we'll release. We'll just let go of the weak. Let go of whatever is not serving you. And just taking a moment to continue that inhale and exhale breath, just coming into the space, coming into our body. You can bring the palms to press at the heart center and just take a moment to set an intention for our time together. So whatever brought you here, whatever it is that you are hoping to take away from or get out of this recalibration retreat, just take a moment to repeat that intention quietly to yourself. My intention is really just to hold space for you all, right? Hold space just to pause and rest. And also to do a little bit of teaching, a little bit of learning today, but really just to hold space for all of you who are here. So thank you all so much. We'll just cultivate gratitude for this time together. And whenever you're ready, you can release the hands and open the eyes. And welcome everybody, if you're just joining us. So I know many of you, which is really sweet. But those of you who I don't know, so I'm Sarah Slater-Snyder, and I am a licensed therapist in Hawaii, an LCSW registered yoga teacher. I am a mental health educator as well. So I was a high school teacher and counselor for about 12 years. And, I am now sort of taking on this role of a wellness mentor. And mostly that came from the pandemic, actually, and having a lot of conversations with women who are experiencing similar challenges, right? Like we're playing so many roles. And so this whole online wellness business, the Women's Wellness Circle that I've created, really was a result of sort of the mental health crisis that I'm seeing among my clients, and just wanting to offer another space, really. So let's see here. All right, so my why, why am I here? So I have been running women's or girls groups, I should say, for a long time. My love, again, is working with teens. That's actually where I started as a high school counselor and teacher. And I created the Yoga Circle, which was a yoga class for teen girls that was sort of blending we have a few more joining us. That was blending sort of my love of counseling and my love of yoga and bringing it together. And so, you know, what I found actually is that through these practices that it was so beneficial to these girls. And I am running some women's groups and therapy groups as well. And I'm finding that same thing, like I'm teaching them some of these yoga principles, and I'm just finding that they're gaining so much from it. So my why essentially is the girls and the women in my life. And, you know, as I won't go through this again, but I have, you know, I don't know, 15 plus years of working with girls and women. And it's really what I love. It's really what, you know, just brings me a lot of joy. And as I said, I created the Women's Wellness Circle really out of that. So my therapy private practice is separate from this women's circle, although certainly there's a lot of overlap, right? So, you know, what am I teaching, right? Like, what is all this? Basically, I want to be able to share strategies for stress management. I want to be able to blend sort of the world of positive psychology and neuroeducation with yoga, because there is so much overlap actually. And, you know, as well as just really teaching tools for radical self-love. So, you know, in yoga, we talk a lot about using the breath to align body, mind, and spirit. But I find that, gosh, there are just so many ways to do that, right? And so my hope is to be able to share with you all some various mental health tips and some of my tricks that I teach my clients in my therapy practice. And I figured this is such a sweet way to be able to share with more women. So here are a few of the ways that you can work with me. I'm so grateful that you guys are here with me today. You know, I have my Facebook group. I do have some individual wellness alignment sessions and packages. I will be doing more free workshops. And I am coming out with a course, The Abounding Woman, which is essentially an 8-week course in mastering emotional intelligence. And I'll be sharing a little bit about that before we get started with our practice today. So I want to do a quick check-in, right? I want to touch base with you guys and just see how we're doing. Take a moment, right? How are you feeling in this moment? You know, and as you just sort of close your eyes and check in with yourself, what emotion, what feeling is coming up for you? And if you don't mind just sharing that in the chat, I'm going to see if I can pull up the chat. I would love to hear, how do you feel in this moment? For some reason, I'm having trouble finding the chat. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. Yes. So please share, right? Like for me, I'll be honest, I was feeling a little nervous. I'm writing mine in the chat. Stressed, if I'm being honest. Oh yeah. Thanks, Jen, for sharing that. I know you have a lot happening. A solid 8. Nice, Annie. So yeah, I mean, so that's sort of my second question. My first question is, how are you feeling, right? Like, what's the emotion? The second question, thank you, Erin. You're not alone in that. Yeah, Tamara, totally overwhelmed. The second question is, on a scale of 1 to 10 of wellness, right? Where are you today? If 10 is the healthiest and 1 is like the least healthy, where do you think you are at this moment? Oh, nice. Rebecca, right on. Okay. All right, good. So we're above a 5, many of us, that's good. I wonder, right, what would help you? So if you're, let's say, at a 6, what would take you to a 7 or an 8, right? And that's really what we're gonna talk about. I mean, I think, you know, the last question would be, where do you want to be on that scale? I think many of us would say a 10, but some of us might, you know, if we're very realistic, we might say, no, I want to get to a 9, you know, or I want to get to, right? What would help you to get there? And I think that's what hopefully I'd like to teach you today, is just a couple things that I think can help us to build upon our wellness, right? So, all right, now I have to figure out how to close my my chat. So what I want to share, here we go. Okay. Sorry, you guys. This is so funny. Me and technology are not exactly the best. All right. Well, you can see here just a very quick overview. Just a moment. Why can't I do this? Yeah. I can't figure out how to move the chat. Okay, well, that's all right. I think what I'm gonna do is move this. Hang on just a second. Oh, Tamara, that's great. Yeah, and actually, would you guys share, while I'm figuring this part out, would you share, I would love for you to share, what was your intention for today, right? Like, what was the thing that was coming up for you that you would like your intention to be for today? Okay. So Tamara's wanting to do some decluttering, I see. I literally cannot figure out how to get out of the chat. That's so interesting. There we go. Maybe if oh, I can move my bar. I figured it out. I got it, you guys. We're good. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna move this over. All right. Okay, I love actually reading your intentions. So to focus, to release what's not meant for you, to relax, feel inner peace and self-forgiveness for your ups and downs. Yes, you're in a huge transition of moving, Jen. So staying present, Annie. Yep. Quieting the mind for sure. Grounded in growth. I love it. Well, so let's talk about a few ways to get there. So the thing that I love teaching more than anything is really like the sort of neuropsychology of stress and health and wellness. So we're just going to do a quick, like, I don't know, what time is it? A quick overview. Okay, good. So we'll maybe spend hopefully 10 minutes and then we'll get started. Rebecca, rejuvenation, right on. Oh, okay. Thank you guys for sharing. All right. So let's talk about, you guys, this is a book that I highly recommend. If you have not read Burnout, I really recommend this book. It is by Dr. Emily Nagoski and her sister, Amelia Nagoski. And basically she talks about stress and emotional health. And she basically says that, you know, emotions are like tunnels. If you go all the way through them, like to the light at the end, that is where we want to be, right? We want to get through the emotion. Also, one thing that she said that's not in this quote that I love is that emotions have a beginning, a middle, and an end, which sometimes we forget, right? And so sometimes what happens is we get stuck essentially in the emotion and we don't know how to get out of it. Many of us avoid, distract, numb, right? We do a million things because we're not sure how to manage the emotion. Maybe we never learned how to be with that emotion or how to move through it, or we feel trapped in that emotion. She talks about in this book, Burnout, basically that we have what's called human giver syndrome. She says, essentially, we as women experience that we are such givers that we're often, we almost don't know how to receive, that we're so used to being the giver that we're not sure how to sort of reciprocate and actually be on the receiving end. And so this book, I just love it. Like she highlights a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about, but I feel like she does a really, really nice job. So in my Facebook group, the Women's Wellness Circle, we're doing a little mental health book club. This is the first book that I'm like assigning. So I really recommend that you guys check this book out. But one of the things that I also feel like is really important just to recognize is that when we talk about, you know, our emotions and just building emotional intelligence, really it's emotional intelligence is comprised of these four things. So essentially awareness of our own emotional experiences and responses, being able to manage and regulate our own emotions. And that's a really tough one for a lot of people, especially when we're stressed. Understanding our emotions and our needs, right? I think sometimes we don't even make time or space to check in with ourselves and to think about what do we need, you know, so that's social awareness as well, checking in with ourselves and then checking in with others, right? And I think that human giver syndrome, we tend to check in with others before we check in with ourselves, you know, and I think that's where we really want to make sure that we're not shortchanging ourselves, that we're really checking in, making time for our own self-care. The Facebook group is definitely open to anyone. Anyone who identifies as female is welcome to join the Facebook group. Yes, thank you, Rebecca, for asking that. And the last component is basically just sort of maintaining healthy relationships, right? So like learning some strategies for healthy communication and conflict resolution. And this is a lot of what I'm going to be teaching actually in my upcoming course. So we'll dive deeper into that. But I want to just share that, so this comes up a lot. This is actually, Paul Gilbert is a researcher and a psychologist who developed these 3 systems of emotional regulation. And I just find that this is so relevant to everything that we all are experiencing. Thank you, Annie. And Annie just dropped the Facebook link for anybody who wants to join. So essentially what Paul Gilbert says is that we as human beings tend to operate either in one of these 3 systems. Sometimes we tend to like go between the systems, but more often than not, we're somewhere stuck between drive and threat. So drive is like that part of us that is task-oriented, productive, getting stuff done, checking things off our list, right? Feels really good to be productive. There we go. But the problem is that, and this is the part of us that allows us to be successful, the drive system. However, we tend to like fluctuate, especially if we've experienced some kind of trauma, or if we tend to experience a lot of anxiety. We operate in our threat system, where basically it's like being in survival mode, right? And so and I'll talk about sort of that part of our nervous system that sends us into that fight or flight response. And so the problem is that if we're in our drive system or our threat system, the majority of the time, we are never really making time to be in our soothing system. And that is basically like our rest and digest, our parasympathetic response. And so it's essential that we learn soothing strategies to take better care of ourselves. And that's basically what we're doing today. So just a really quick overview of, the nervous system. I'm not going to go into all this because I think the most important part that is basically the 2 at the bottom. Our nervous system breaks into all these components. The automatic or autonomic part of our nervous system subdivides into these 2 parts, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is the part of us that when we are anxious, stressed, dealing with a stressor, actually even sometimes just excited, right? But generally it's our survival mechanism. So it's the part of us that goes into this fight or flight reaction. And I'm going to show you just an image so you can see what happens in our body when we're in the sympathetic, right? Like the sympathetic is here on the right. Our heart rate increases, our breathing increases, our digestion slows down. And the reason for this, just like evolutionarily, is that if you were dealing with an emergency situation and like a serious, threat, basically our body is preparing us to literally fight, flight, or freeze to deal with that stressor so that we can survive. And the problem with that is that many of us are like walking around in our sympathetic nervous system and we're in like a constant state of hyper arousal of that fight or flight. And so what we need to do is we have to learn how to shift into the parasympathetic nervous system, into our soothing system or a rest and digest response. You can see that in that parasympathetic nervous system, that's the part of us where everything starts to slow down. Our heart rate slows, our breathing slows, our digestion actually starts to pick back up, right? And all these various things start to happen, but essentially we're no longer in that survival mode. And as a result, a lot of severe illness comes from being in that sympathetic state because we have this outpouring of stress hormones like cortisol, right, which can clog our arteries and can lead to buildup of plaques that clogs the arteries. So we really want to train our nervous system to actually, shift into the parasympathetic response. And so I'm going to teach you a few ways to do that in just a moment. I just want to highlight this quickly. This is basically what I was just talking about, that our body's stress response cycle is essentially like as soon as the stressor happens, we go into that alarm stage. Our body has this outpouring of stress hormones to sort of deal with the stressor, but then we hit resistance. If the stressor is prolonged, we go into like resistance, and essentially our body is trying to manage the stressor, but we only have so much of those stress hormones. So eventually our reserves get depleted. We're walking around in this like fight or flight state, and then we hit exhaustion. And exhaustion is when we get sick or potentially, seriously ill. And so we want to prevent that, right? We don't want to get to that point of exhaustion. And that is why this nerve is so important. So this is our vagus nerve. which is actually the longest nerve in the body. It's called the wandering nerve because it runs all throughout. And most importantly, it runs through the diaphragm. So it, I believe it starts at the tailbone, runs all the way up to the brain, and it innervates the diaphragm. And so what is super important about this is it's really like the key to our mental health. So because it innervates the diaphragm, when we take longer exhalations, like, we inhale and we then release the breath and take a longer exhale, that activates the vagus nerve. It sends a message to the brain. It slows or stops the fight or flight response, and it activates the parasympathetic response. And that is what we want, right? We want to actually be getting our body into its parasympathetic soothing response. And there's a few ways to do that. So one is to breathe, like I was saying, deep breathing. In my course, we'll be doing a little bit, the Abounding Woman will be doing some breath work, more specifically, like going into a various, types of breath work. But like the simplest one is just equal breathing, right? So I teach my clients how to do essentially what's called belly breathing. So when we're in a fight or flight state, we're chest breathing, we're breathing into the chest, right? That's like the panic attack almost state, right? Shallow breathing. We don't want to be there. We want to be in the belly. So like I have my clients put 2 hands on the belly, inhale, and feel the breath actually fill the belly like a balloon, the low belly, right? And so when we actually fill the low belly and then we release the breath, it's that long, long exhalation that allows us to actually stimulate the vagus nerve, send the message to our brain. It's time to calm things down. Right? So meditation can be a really wonderful tool to access the breath. So can yoga nidra, which we're going to do today. So can restorative yoga, which we're going to do today. So before I skip ahead, just equal breathing is essentially inhaling for the same count that you're exhaling. Inhale for 4, exhale for 4, right? Or inhale for 6, exhale for 6. And then once you get the hang of the equal breathing, my suggestion is to then practice elongating the breath. So you can inhale for 4, exhale for 8, right? If you really want to practice like more breath control, there's some different like box breathing where essentially it's like you almost trace the image of a box and inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Yeah. So there's so many different types of breath work, and we'll talk through that if you decide to move forward with my 8-week course. But a few other really simple ways. You can take contrast showers. So you can do like 3 minutes hot to 1 minute cold. I think it just has to be like a 3-to-1 ratio, basically. So you can also, maybe it's not 3 minutes, maybe it's just 3 seconds of hot water, splashing hot water on your face, and then, 1 second of cold water. But actually that contrast, for whatever reason, stimulates the vagus nerve, as does singing, as does gargling loudly, which I thought was so interesting, right? Foot massage, which is not that surprising, also is a way to stimulate the vagus nerve, right? It's super grounding and very calming to the nervous system. Belly laughter, which I also loved, is a way to stimulate the vagus nerve, right? When was the last time you guys had like a really good belly laugh? Yeah, how good does that feel? All right, so last couple slides here. So I love this. This is part of the, this comes from Unlocking Us, which is Brene Brown's podcast, but she had Emily and Amelia Nagoski who wrote Burnout. And I just love this. Basically, she's talking about that. She says essentially that, that we have stress and we have stressors, and that if we don't, like the stress itself essentially will kill you faster than the stressor will, because the stressors don't last forever. The stress does. So she basically talks about how the importance of what she calls completing the cycle, completing the stress response cycle, and finding ways basically to almost like to move through the tunnel. So to like get to the light at the end of that emotion, of the tunnel, that tunnel of emotion, so that we can complete the cycle and release the stress. And what she basically says is that many of us don't make time to do that, right? Like we don't make time to complete the cycle. And here are a few simple ways to do that. Exercise is the easiest way to complete the cycle. But so is any kind of catharsis, whether it's laughter or crying, right? Or even like venting, talking to a friend, which is, or a therapist, which is emotion-focused coping. any of these can complete the cycle. So can journaling, so can art, like a creative outlet. And then the soothing strategies we're going to do today also complete the cycle, right? Because they move us basically, shifting our nervous system response, and they move us into a different state of emotion, a different sort of emotional place. So does anybody have questions about any of this? I know I'm like moving through it pretty quickly. Let me know in the chat if you do have anything that you're thinking about. I just wanted to share too, a couple of common barriers to wellness that I think this is what I'm seeing in a lot of my clients, my therapy and my wellness clients, that some of the most common barriers to wellness are obviously stress, but also untreated mental illness, right? Limiting beliefs. So this is where like cognitive distortions or thought errors come up, you know, and in my course, we're going to really dive into this. I'll go through, and I do have in my Facebook group a free sort of live event where I talked about some different cognitive distortions. So definitely feel free to check this out. And you can learn a little bit more about like specific cognitive distortions and how to get out of that, but we will dive into that further in my course too. The next two though are huge. Like I see this again and again and again. Basically perfectionism in women, right? Feeling like we have to do everything and do it perfectly. And then also codependence, feeling like we are responsible for everyone else's emotions and reactions, right? And I'm finding that women feel so liberated when they learn and realize and actually really can recognize and step into their own power, that they are not responsible for anyone other than themselves. That it's okay to allow other people to feel uncomfortable or to feel angry or to, right? Like we're not responsible for managing someone else or their emotions or their reactions. We can't, it's actually out of our control. So that's a lot of what I teach, right? And then a few other wellness barriers. So super low energy, low motivation, having some like unhealthy coping strategies, whether it be like, you know, substances or some other kinds of extreme unhealthy behaviors, you know, and I think anything in an extreme is unhealthy. What even exercise can be unhealthy to an extreme. I think also not having enough social support, right? That's a barrier to wellness. And then not getting enough sleep or not, you know, having poor nutrition. So I'm sure that there's more. I'm sure that you guys probably could share your own barriers to wellness, right? I think we all know, you know, what's going on for us. I know for me personally, my son was home all week. He was supposed to be in school and I was like, sweet, I have all week to get ready for the recalibration retreat. Nope. Turned out he, because of COVID, was home because of, I don't know, COVID related staffing issues at his school. So, you know, it's like these things just come up and we think that we're going to be able to prioritize ourselves and then we can't. And, you know, what do we do with that? And so I think making time like you guys are for yourself, like today, is so essential. So I'm just going to share, again, we're on like the last slide or two here, and then we'll get started. That basically the things that I'm teaching women to overcome their wellness barriers are soothing strategies, like what I just shared with you, learning how to regulate their emotions and practice daily gratitude. So there are some really specific things you can do actually to learn how to better manage and regulate your emotions. And again, I'll be covering that in my course. Learning how to release perfectionism and release those limiting beliefs. You know, I think just to give an example, you know, I think the most common one that I hear is the belief of I am not enough, thinking that we have to somehow change ourselves or do something different. You know, or whether it's a belief about your worthiness, or, you know, some of us maybe believe a limiting belief might be, I am not deserving of love, right? Like there's so many different ones out there. My goal would be to be able to help more women to tackle that so that we're not allowing that to sort of, you know, drive our experience, our daily experience. Along the same lines, like shifting our mindset around failure, right? So actually like being willing to fail forward. So that's embracing a growth mindset, you know, recognizing that failure is part of the learning process rather than like the fixed mindset. And then learning how to hold boundaries, how to set boundaries and hold boundaries. And I'll be really honest, this is something that was not easy for me. I don't know, 15 years ago, I, you know, had to go through sort of my own therapy process, healing journey, my own awakening to learn how to get better at this. And then the last one, which I'm actually really excited to talk a little bit more about today, is setting intentions. So in Yoga Nidra, an intention is called a sankalpa. And basically it is a really just short, concise, present tense statement of something that you are wanting for yourself. So, and that could be something you want to do, to be, to achieve in the next like 6 to 18 months. And what I love about this though, is that it's based on the law of assumption, which essentially is that your reality, like the reality that you are desiring, is already yours. You already have what you are wanting. And so like, if we can approach it from that place, so rather than I will have these things, I am. Like, I am these things, right? So I want you to take a minute, because we're going to be doing a Yoga Nidra practice. And I want you to set your intention for your own Yoga Nidra practice today. So, yes. Oh yeah. Jen, that's such a good question. So, yep. Okay, so Jen, I'm going to answer that one. Okay, so setting and holding boundaries for myself while my son was home this week was Jen's question. Like, what did that look like? Well, I think what it looked like was sort of negotiating with my husband, who was also working from home. And, you know, we do a really nice job of like juggling. We kind of worked that out through the pandemic and had our son home with us for a lot of it. But I think that sort of boundaries with him around today, like he was like, well, why don't you just bring Bodhi with you to the recalibration retreat? And I was like, nope, nope. This is my time to hold space for women. Like, this is not a time for me to be a mom, you know? So that was like a really clear boundary that I set, and he respected that. You know, so I think just finding ways to, like, what's another example, Jen? Another one might've been that I had a friend who was in town and she wanted to come by and she helped me do some like reorganizing. And same thing, my husband's question was like, why don't you have Bodhi help you? And I was like, nope, like, this is my space. This is my time and space, right? So really recognizing, what do I need? How do I ask for it? And can I be willing to like say no and give a firm no in a loving way? So I hope that was helpful. Thank you for that question. So let me also just give you an example, you guys, of, and I imagine you've been writing your intention for maybe your restorative yoga or Yoga Nidra practice. So an example for me, if I was to set my intention, I think would be, and this is actually one of my affirmation cards, which, to be honest, like, I created my affirmation cards because I was saying the same thing to women over and over and over again. And I just felt like, why don't I turn this into like something that can be tangible, you know? So for me, which is one of these cards, I am abundant, and magnetize that which is for my highest good. You know, that for me is my intention that I'm holding, you know, for 2022. But whatever that is for you, right? So again, make sure it's present tense. That's my biggest thing. Present tense and short and just easy to sort of remember. So take a moment to just write that down, whatever feels right for you. And while you guys are writing, I'm just gonna really quickly share, and then we're gonna get right into our practice here. Essentially, you guys, this course that I'm offering it's called The Abounding Woman. And I chose that because my website is called aboundingcircles.com. I'm really feeling the abundance vibes right now. And abounding is this beautiful way of sort of holding that energy of basically the course is geared towards mastering emotional intelligence. You can just sort of read quickly some of the things I'm going to be covering. My hope really is that every week we're going to have, you know, like a 1.5 to 2 hour Zoom like this. My hope is that I'm not teaching the whole time. I actually really want it to be interactive. And I want to be teaching stress management. I want to be teaching some mental health strategies, social emotional tools. Definitely, we're going to cover cognitive distortions, communication, conflict resolution. We will have more restorative yoga. So I'll be incorporating some of these yoga tools for stress management. We'll definitely dive into some of the codependence and the boundary setting as well. And one of the things, so I'll just share very briefly. I'm in this group called Women Helping Women. It's like a 500,000 person group on Facebook of all women. And I posted something just asking a question of like, what is something that you wish you learned in high school that you didn't learn? And I had like 1,000, I don't know, like 1,400 people responded. And the majority, like essentially there were two things that people said. It was either emotional intelligence is what they wish they had learned, or emotional tools, or it was financial literacy, which like I totally get and I completely agree with. And so I, you know, actually worked with a budget coach and have been working with a financial advisor too, who I had met through this women's group, our women's Facebook group. And I invited this woman who's a financial coach and budgeting coach to come in and talk a little bit about kind of overcoming the fear of finances, because a lot of my clients just like avoid going, you know, talking about finances because it's scary, right? If we don't look at our finances, if we don't know how to budget. So one of the classes is actually going to be devoted to that. And the last week will be sort of like a celebration of all of our work together with a really sweet affirmation circle at the end. So it's going to be an amazing experience. I welcome you guys to join us. You can see all the various things. We'll have our own little private Facebook group that you can participate in. You'll get, if you decide to join the group, you'll get my affirmation cards, you'll get my wellness workbook, and we'll be meeting every week for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So you can register on my website, although actually the public registration won't be open till Monday. So if you are interested in this, I wanted to give like a really, really great deal. So the regular pricing eventually is going to be like $1,000. You can see it's like a $1,111 eventually. But for you guys just being here live with me, it's going to be $555. However, if you are willing and able to purchase today. So if that feels like something that you're wanting for yourself, if you're feeling like I would love to learn a little bit more about how to manage my emotions and how to sort of be in a better space with my emotions, and to sort of step into my power around that, you know, consider that. Go check out, read a little bit more about the course, see if it resonates with you. I want to make it affordable. So I also am offering like a payment plan. So either the 555 pay in full or 150 for 4 months. And I believe that's going to be through like 7 o'clock tonight, my time, which I think is like midnight East Coast time. And then the price will raise through the weekend. It'll be 777 or 4 months of 222. So you can see all of this. Again, all of this will be on my website. I will also post some reminders in our group. Another way to work with me is through my wellness alignment sessions, but I really just want to get to like recalibrating with you guys. So does anybody have questions about anything before we jump into our restorative time together? Okay. Here's what you're going to need. So I hopefully you guys have these things. You're going to need, and this is my lovely friend, Kelia, who's over here, you guys. She's going to be like our little model for today. This is also her home and her space. And I am like so unbelievably grateful for her for just sharing the space with us. So yeah, Jen, no worries. Oh my gosh, I wanted you to get the restorative time, Jen. Okay, we'll watch the recording. You can do it after the kids go to bed. So you're gonna need a yoga mat or towel. Get a couple of yoga blocks if you have them, you guys. Basically, a couple books is fine too. You know, you're gonna want a couple blankets or towels, a bolster. So a bolster is just like a really firm pillow. So you could get like a bed pillow or a couch cushion. That would be fine. Or, and if you have it, get like an eye pillow or a washcloth so that you can really kind of dive into yourself. All right. So take a moment, get what you need, and then we're going to get started here. And we're actually going to just begin with just a short kind of meditation, and then move into a little bit of movement, and then go right into our first restorative pose. So I'm going to click out of this. Does anybody need this list, or are you guys good? Are we okay? Okay, good. I'm gonna stop the share so you guys can just have a bigger image of us. Wonderful. All right, so go ahead and just, I like to sit up on a blanket or, you know, just elevate my hips a little bit when I'm meditating, but whatever feels good for you. Just go ahead and close the eyes. And I know that was like a whole lot of information. So we're just gonna let that sort of sink in as we take a moment to inhale deeply through the nose. Feel the breath travel in down the spine, pull in the low belly. And with the exhale breath, just releasing from the low belly, visualizing the breath rising back up, releasing through the nose. And again, just inhaling. Imagine that the inhale breath is like pouring down the spine like a waterfall, just like rooting you down into the earth. And with each exhale breath, imagine that the breath rises and releases, taking with it any stress, any tension, anything that's not serving you. And just take a moment to bring awareness to any sounds that you can hear in this moment. Just allow your awareness to move from sound to sound. Just becoming a witness, becoming an observer of the sounds. So now begin to notice the sound of your own breath. Notice what it feels like to breathe in through the nose and release through the nose or through the mouth if that's more comfortable upon exhalation. What does it feel like for the next, I don't know, 80 minutes, 85 minutes? Can you just be here, be present? There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do, nothing to achieve. Just being present here with the breath, with the body. And we'll bring the palms to press at heart center and just gently bow the chin. And let's reconnect to that intention, whatever that intention is that you are feeling for yourself. And just mentally repeating that intention quietly to yourself. Cultivating gratitude in the heart, feeling that gratitude in the heart space for this time to recalibrate, for these tools that will help us to reset our nervous system. And then as you're ready, gently release the hands and open the eyes. So I'm gonna actually just move to this mat back here. I have my earbuds in, so I think you guys can hear me. And you'll see Kelia here who's got her mat. But we're just gonna go ahead and move on to all fours. Can you guys still hear me okay? Yeah, give me a thumbs up. Are we good? Okay. All right, so we're gonna just come on to all fours for a moment. So bring yourself forward. We're gonna spread the fingers wide. Yeah, and on the inhale breath, bend the elbows, press the chest and heart forward. My earbuds, okay. Good, and on the exhale breath, we're gonna round the spine, curl the chin towards the chest. Yep, moving into some cat-cow with your breath. So as you inhale, elbows bend, chest and heart press forward. Good, and as we exhale, in your own timing, right? We round the spine, curling ourselves in. Good. And just moving with your breath. Each inhale, chest and heart press forward. Each exhale, we round the spine. Good. And then begin to take the hips in a circle. So moving the hips in a circle. Yeah. And almost like we're just unwinding. So we might even bring the hips all the way back to child's pose. Yeah, there you go. Good. And then as you're ready, you might bring yourself, when you feel ready, I'm sure that feels really good, but you can press yourself forward and the hips may come around, moving in a circle again. Yep, good. And then as you're ready, bringing the hips all the way around back to child's pose. So this is just like your own movement. There's no wrong way to do this, right? We're just coming into the breath. We're coming into the body here. Good. And then let's just take the hip circles in the other direction. So just a few of those hip circles in the opposite direction, unwinding from the week. Good. And then when you're ready, let's press back into that child's pose. Take the knees wide, the big toes touch, and the arms extend forward. Let me make sure you guys can really see Kelia here. Here you go. Good. And then as you're ready, we're going to come into one downward dog. We're going to spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes. Good. Press the heels towards the floor. You can paddle out the knees and the legs. The hips move towards the sky. And release the head. Just allow the head to hang heavy. And let's take 3 breaths here, 3 lion's breaths. So inhaling, and on the exhale breath, stick out the tongue. Yeah, good. Again, inhaling, exhaling, releasing the breath. Good. Last time, inhaling, exhaling, stick out the tongue, release anything that you no longer need. Just let it go with the breath. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and lower down to all fours and just come back to sit on your heels. So wherever you are, you want to be ideally on something padded, right? So we're not just on like a hard surface. So a yoga mat is great, a towel is great. We're gonna come into our very first restorative pose. So the first restorative pose, which I'm gonna set Kelia up for, is recline bound angle. This is one of my favorites. So you're gonna take one of your, if you have a yoga block, one yoga block, and it's gonna stand up tall. If you don't have a yoga block and you just have books, no problem, just stack them fairly high, right? And then a second block is gonna go low. So we've got, can you guys see that? One high, one low, and the bolster, this big pillow, is gonna lay right on top of it, okay? And so if you don't, again, if you don't have the yoga blocks, no worries. Maybe you just stack up a couple pillows, right? The idea is that you want your bolster to be at an angle like this, because Kelia is gonna turn herself around and she's going to wiggle so that her buttocks comes directly up to, oh, not on, sorry. It's gonna stay on the floor, but it just comes right up against the bolster. There you go. Yep, good. And we're gonna take 2 of these blocks if you have, or pillows, and they're gonna go right under the knees. And if we need them higher, we can go higher. She also happens to have a bunch of pillows, so I may make her even more comfortable. We can do a pillow underneath. See how that feels, right? How's that? All right, so she's gonna bring herself back onto the bolster. Can you guys see what this looks like a little bit? Yeah. Now you want it to be comfortable. The thing that I see that we tend to miss is that if the buttocks isn't directly up against the bolster, yeah, like if there's a whole bunch of space, it's not as comfortable. But what you can do is you can sort of press into the feet, lift the pelvis, almost like you're tucking your tail under a little bit, and that makes it a little bit more comfortable. So the idea is that in this recline bound angle pose, Supta Baddha Konasana is our first one. And we want to make sure that the body feels comfortable. The arms can rest towards the sides. Yeah, so the arms are sort of opening up towards either side. If you have pillows, which Kelia does, so I am gonna grab these. You can even place, see how that feels. You can decide whether you like it that way or not like it that way. How is that? Right? Okay. All right. And you guys, if you have any like questions or you're not sure if if you're doing it right, type it in the chat. I'm pulling up my chat now. So if anybody is unsure if yours is working, let me know. But what we want is we want to allow the heart to open. Yeah, so the arms actually open out to the sides. Again, you can place a pillow or a block or whatever you have under the arms, or you can just rest the arms on the ground. The palms are facing up. If you need a little bit more support, you might even take a blanket. So just so we know this is an option, is to take a folded blanket, like long ways, and lay it on your bolster. That can give you a little bit of added support, yeah? And then the last thing I'll just share before we go into this pose I'm just gonna show you in case you need a little bit of head support. Helia's gonna lift her head. You could place an extra blanket there. How's that?
Very nice.
Good, is it good? Okay.
Sorry that you all don't have what I have.
She said, I'm sorry you all don't have what I have. I know, I wish that I could be in person with you guys to set you all up for this. But I'm just gonna take a peek, right? The goal is that we wanna be comfortable. If we're not comfortable in this pose, so I see some of us yawning, that's a good sign, right? Now, we want our head to be resting on the bolster. If our head is like way, way, way back, we're not gonna be so comfortable, right? So wiggle yourself down. So you might need a longer bolster if that's the case, or place a pillow under your head is an option, yeah? All right, so wherever you are, go ahead and just take 3 deep breaths here. So in a restorative yoga practice, right, we're gonna be holding these poses for a little bit longer than normal. Yeah, we're actually gonna be in this recline bound angle pose for probably 5 more minutes. We've been here already for about 3. Oh, hi, Gigi. So we're starting off in this reclining bound angle pose. Yeah, so getting ourselves to a comfortable place. Coming into the breath. Noticing how it feels. So again, this place where the soles of the feet are touching, the knees are out wide, supported by pillows or blocks, right? This is an amazing pose actually for digestion, for fighting fatigue, supporting our breathing. And actually, if we are menstruating or we're moving through menopause, this is also a really amazing pose for our reproductive system. Yeah, so this is like one of my go-to poses for relaxation. So Rebecca, I feel like if you can hear me, I would support your head more. It looks like your head is too far back. You want your head, so like we want the chin should not be pointed up. It should actually, you know what I mean? There should be enough support under the head. So I wonder if you could get a longer pillow or 2 pillows even, you know what I mean? Have multiple. If the pillow is not firm enough, then it may also be part of the issue. So I know many of us are still just getting ourselves settled. It's no problem. I'll be honest, you guys, it is a little bit of setup for these poses, but once you're there, once you hit the sweet spot, you're gonna be good, right? There's a Rumi quote, I really love Rumi, that says, close your eyes, fall in love, stay there. Can you do that? Can you just be here right now with nothing to do, nowhere to be, holding space for yourself? Rebecca, is that better? It looks a little better. Okay. So we'll be here for another 2 minutes or so. If something is not comfortable, I definitely don't want you guys to suffer through it. So please just like sit up or, you know, type into the chat if you need to figure out how to set it up a little differently. It's no problem. There's another Rumi quote. I know I'm obsessed with Rumi, but I love this quote that says, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. right? And like, to me, it's so true when we actually close the eyes and we bring our awareness, especially to the point between the eyebrows, which yogis believe is our third eye center, or our wisdom seat, right? So here in this amazing restorative pose, can we just bring our awareness to that third eye center? And with the outer eyes closed, it's like the inner eye can see and hear a little bit more deeply. Noticing the next breath. Just noticing the stillness that you might be feeling in this moment. Noticing what it felt like to hold the awareness at the point between the eyebrows. And with the arms draped open, can we bring the awareness to the heart space? And imagine with each inhale breath, it's like we're breathing into that heart space, breathing in love. And as we exhale, can we just release gratitude? Inhaling love, exhaling gratitude. And begin to just bring your awareness back to the body. And slowly begin by just wiggling the fingers and the toes. And gently bring the knees towards one another and press the soles of the feet into the floor. And just being mindful that we're elevated on this bolster, right? We can roll to our right side on the bolster or come off the bolster onto the floor gently. And just stay on your side for a moment. And then we'll come all the way up to sit when you're ready. So there's no rush. If you are loving this pose, you could just stay here. That is totally fine. All right. So we're gonna move into just a simple recline twist. The beauty of this is that you really don't need that much more setup here. You're actually pretty set up already. The only thing that you do need is something to go between the legs. So I'm gonna take a blanket that's folded. It's a yoga blanket, so it's a little thicker, and I'm rolling it. And I'm gonna roll it so that it almost makes a bolster or like a little firm, yeah? So it's long enough though that it's like the length of almost like the bottom half of my leg. Like it's like this long. So you want to have something firm that can go right there between the legs. We actually, if you had another bolster, you could use that too. So I'm going to have Kelia come onto her left hip. She's going to bring the left hip to the bolster. Yep. And then we're going to actually place that rolled blanket between the knees. Yep, right there. Good. And then she's going to turn so that actually your torso. So this arm is going to go on that side. Yep. And the torso is going to come onto the bolster. Does that make sense? So it's a really gentle twist. Now, I will say that if you're on a really firm surface and this hurts your hips, you may want to place like a second blanket underneath the body, which isn't
good.
You're good? Okay. So if you need that, right? I'll just repeat the instructions again. So the idea, let me move this. That's okay. All right. So the idea is that we're bringing our left hip right up to the bolster. Yeah. And then the body kind of twists and turns so that the torso lays flat on that bolster, the arms draped to either side. And one thing you can do, you guys, you can allow the elbows to come down to the floor and just rest there. You could place the elbows onto pillows. That's an option. We're not going to be here for as long. This is just a really simple recline twist. And we're going to do both sides. So we'll do each side for about, I don't know, 2 minutes. If you really want extra twist, you might take the head all the way around to the other side. For me, that's a little too much on my neck. So I like to just keep the head facing in the same direction as the knees. Right, but feel what feels right to the body. For some of us, if you need a little extra support, same thing, fold a blanket, lay it along the bolster, and that can work too as a little bit extra. So wherever you are, let's just take a moment here to come into the breath. And bring your awareness to the body. Feel the props that are supporting you. We'll just take about 30 more seconds here on this side. Just coming into our breath. Again, making sure that with each inhale, even in this twist, can we inhale and breathe into the low belly, right? Like filling up that low belly with air. And as we exhale, we release the breath. And we might even be able to deepen the twist. We might feel ourselves relax a little bit more into that pose. And on the next breath, I'm gonna again just wiggle the fingers and the toes. We're gonna press the hands, the palms slowly into the ground, and we'll come up to sit. And we're actually just gonna take the pose in the other direction. So you can keep everything the same. You're just gonna bring the opposite hip, the right hip, directly up to your bolster. Yep. And bring the torso so that it turns, so that the chest is laying directly on your bolster. The arms are to either side of the bolster. Good, and then allow the head to rest in whatever direction it's most comfortable. You wanna make sure again that you have some support between the knees. And just notice what's coming up for you, right? So like the beauty of yoga is that sometimes we hear the same self-talk that comes up off the mat. So just notice, right? Like, is there loving self-talk happening right now? Is there no self-talk? Maybe the mind is quiet. Right? How is the body feeling in this moment. You might notice that one side feels slightly different from the other. That's totally normal. You bring your awareness to the breath. With each inhale, just noticing the breath traveling in, pouring down the spine, feeling this gentle twist, right? And with each exhale, we release the breath and we deepen, unwind a little bit deeper into this pose. So the beauty of the reclined twist is that it allows a little bit of stress relief in the back muscles, the sides of the body. It actually stretches our intercostal muscles between our ribs. So as our muscles relax into this pose, the breath deepens. I'll take just a few more breaths here on this side. And gently bringing our awareness back to the breath and back to the body. You can start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Slowly, there's no rush. We'll press the palms into the earth. And just press ourselves all the way back up to sit. And we're gonna move into a supported child's pose. So there's like many different ways that this can look. If you have knee issues, I'm gonna show you an alternate way after, because child's pose may not be the best for you. So there's a few ways. If you don't have any knee issues, we're gonna do a supported child's pose. So we're gonna have Julia's gonna place the block directly underneath her, yeah. So you can do the block, you guys, at different heights. So if you have yoga blocks, right, you can sit up a little bit more if you need. You could even do 2 blocks or pillows under the body. Yeah, and then the idea, so we're actually gonna keep the same structure. So we've got the tall block, the lower block. Yeah, can you guys see tall, same as before. We've got the same bolster setup. However, we're gonna wiggle ourselves all the way forward so that the bolster comes right into the groin almost, yeah? And then you can bring the torso forward and the arms can rest and the head can go to one side. How does that feel? Is that good? Okay, so the arms could even come onto pillows or onto blocks if you have them. It's like giving your bolster a big hug, right? Now, if you, depending on like your knees and your flexibility, you can be here. You can take the bolster lower or higher, right? So you could actually stack a little more blocks under the bolster, and that would be fine too, right? Now, anyone who has any knee issues going on, just to show you kind of an alternate, I'm gonna set it up real quick. Instead of being on our knees, I'm gonna be seated. So I don't know if you guys can see that I'm sitting, but I'm setting up the exact same thing. So I've set up my 2 blocks, same. And I'm bringing myself forward. I lost my earbud. There we go. And this, for some of us, we might need multiple blankets here, propped up. Yeah, so it's a forward fold. That's the idea. So we're just gonna be here with the head on one side for another 30 seconds, and then we'll switch sides with the head on the opposite direction. And I love child's pose because it's just so quieting, right? It's as we almost like we're just sort of bowing into ourself. So just take your time to find what feels comfortable in your body. Every body is different. Again, that bolster should be right kind of in between the legs so that the whole torso is supported. If you need more support, just stack more pillows or lay a blanket along your bolster. Whenever you feel ready, let's just take the head in the opposite direction. And this balasana, the supported child's pose, is really amazing as a way to stretch the lower back, to relieve tension in our shoulders. So we're releasing muscular, emotional, and mental tensions here. Just quieting the mind. So if any stories are coming up or any self-talk is happening, can you just be an observer of the experience? Can you watch it without judging? What does it feel like to be almost curled into yourself, bowing into yourself in this moment, right? Honoring the body wherever it is. We'll just be here for 3 more breaths. It can be a lot on the knees. And the beauty of this practice, you guys, is that once you know these poses, you can do them anytime, right? So do these before bed as a way to quiet the mind. Whenever you're ready, let's just begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes. And we're gonna press into the hands, press ourselves up, and we're actually gonna take a downward facing dog. So just to straighten the legs, we're gonna tuck the toes. This will be our only downward dog here. We can just pedal out the feet, spread the fingers wide. If you've never done that downward dog, we wanna spread the fingers like starfish, really wide. Yeah, good. And just allow the head to hang heavy or rest on your bolsters. Good, again, just you can pedal out the feet, bending one knee and then the other knee. I'm just taking another breath here in downward dog, letting go with each exhale. And then we can bend the knees, we'll come all the way down to sit. And the next pose that we're gonna do is, honestly, it's my favorite pose of all the poses. It's legs up the wall, Viparita Karani. So here's what, I'm gonna give a couple options though. Okay, so if you happen to have something that could be like a wall space, we're gonna bring the yoga mat. So Kilia's gonna turn her yoga mat and she's gonna use sort of the edge of her lanai here. In Hawaii, lanai means patio. So she's bringing it to the edge of her patio. And I'm gonna have you come. For anyone else though, I wanna give you an option. Does this, I was thinking you can kind of, yep. I wanna give you the option of doing legs up the chair. or the couch or the bed, right? Like, so wherever you are, use what you have. So I'm gonna just show you guys also the option of legs up the chair. So so you can see Helia, basically what she did to get into this pose is that she kind of bring your buttocks like right up against wherever, like the wall essentially. Yeah, and then the idea is that you place the arms behind you and you come back onto the hands and the legs go up the wall. Now, if I'm gonna use a chair or I'm gonna use a couch, I'm gonna do the same thing. So for those of us with tight hamstrings, right? The idea is I'm gonna take my yoga mat, lay it out. I'm gonna take my chair. So if you need to move yourself like right up against a couch, that's fine. The idea is that I'm gonna wiggle myself so that the buttocks is right up against the chair or the wall or the couch. The hands come behind. I'm gonna walk myself onto the elbows. I'm gonna bring myself down. Oh, that's such a nice pose. So, okay, so I wanted to show this one. The arms can rest to the sides. And I'll just mention this too as a really nice add-on. If you'd like to do this, you can also, because a lot of you are here, you can just stay right where you are. It's no problem. If you want a little bit more, or you want to try this again later, take a folded blanket and you're going to place the folded blanket about 6 inches from wherever you're laying. So 6 inches from the wall, or like I don't know, a fifth distance. Maybe it's not 6 inches, maybe it's 3 inches. But the idea is that the buttocks would go up on that blanket, and it just feels really nice to elevate the hips slightly. So you wanna try it, Kira? Yeah. Good, yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna come see how everybody's doing. Beautiful. So legs up the wall is a pose that I love to do before bed. This is an incredible pose for insomnia, for anxiety, even for chronic pain. I mean, all of these restorative poses are actually excellent for all of these things, but this particular pose, Viparita Karani, or legs up the wall, helps to reduce fatigue and swelling in the legs because, right, it's almost like an inversion, it's a supported inversion. So allowing the blood to just circulate with gravity, moving towards the heart in this way can really help to shift us into that parasympathetic state. Yeah, so just allowing with those arms, palms up, palms facing open, so that we're receiving the gift of this pose. So wherever you are, can you just, again, come into the breath, right? Just inhaling, feeling the breath moving in through the nose, filling up the belly as if the belly was a balloon. And with each exhale, we release the breath through the nose or through the mouth. Just noticing what that feels like. If this is uncomfortable for whatever reason, you can, and we're gonna actually be in this pose for another couple of minutes, but if you need to move into this next place with the pose, that's fine. If you get any tingling in the toes, you basically can bring the soles of the feet to touch. Yep, just like Helia is doing, and the knees can go wide. Yeah, or soles of the feet can press into the wall or onto the chair, and you can just be there. But if you're enjoying this, which I imagine many of you are, because once you find the sweet spot, it feels amazing. Just be here, right? Just soak this in. Another Rumi quote that I love is, it says, "Let the waters settle and you will see the moon and the stars mirrored in your own being." So what does that feel like to just let the waters settle here? Right, as you come into your own stillness, your own place of just quiet, what does that feel like? To allow the body to be still and the mind to be quiet. So notice any sensations that are happening in the body. Just bringing awareness to whatever is coming up, whatever we're feeling, whatever we're sensing. With each exhale breath, can we let go a little bit deeper? And as we are here for just our last minute, can you imagine that in this pose, you're feeling almost like the warmth of the sun, right? So Kilia's over here in this pose and it's so beautiful. Actually, the sun is coming out and it's just sort of, I can feel that warmth, that light that's on her in this moment. And can you take a moment to just, and yeah, and me too, can you visualize that? Feel, imagine what it feels like to just feel the body wrapped in warmth and golden light. And just feel that golden light just restoring the body. Inhaling and just feeling as if we can visualize bringing some of that warm golden light into the body. And just allow it to penetrate and heal any parts of us that are just needing to let go, that are needing to release, that are needing to heal. So as you're ready, we'll go ahead and just begin to wiggle the toes and the fingers. And we're going to bring the soles of the feet to touch if they're not there already. So bringing the feet down the wall or down the chair, and the knees can go wide. And just stay here for a few breaths. Again, here we are again with that bound angle shape in the legs. Feels really, really good. So this legs up the wall pose is something, or legs up the chair or the bed. I really encourage you guys to do this from home. Do this each night before bed. Do this when you find yourself in a place of anxiety or in a place of, having trouble sleeping. Come back to this pose. My whole body lets go when I move into this place. Yeah. So to come out of the pose, we're going to bring the knees to touch. We're going to gently just roll ourselves to our right side or our left side, whatever feels good to the body, and just be there on your side for a moment. There's no rush. Whenever you're ready, let's just come all the way up to sit. And we're gonna move into our final pose, which is our supported Shavasana pose. So again, there's no rush here, but Kelia can come right back to this mat if you want. Yep. And she's gonna, let me just see you. Yeah, they can see you. Okay, so Kelia's gonna we'll put head at that end. Yeah. So this is gonna, on your back. Yep, this is gonna be a supported, yep, you can just rest your, there you go. Okay, so for supported Shavasana, you guys, you have a few options. So you can take your bolster and you can just rest it just under the knees here, which is lovely. I mean, even just that is so simple. You can also take 2 blocks and you can just rest the blocks so that it, depending on the like shape of your bolster or whatever, you can see what feels good. Kelia, I'm gonna just have you lift your legs. I'm gonna have you put your feet on that. How's that? Yeah. And then honestly, my suggestion is that you place a blanket under your head, just because it really, hang on just a second, sorry, can make a nice difference. It's like way more comfortable. Okay, come on back. Yeah. All right. So yeah, you're welcome. So in supported Shavasana, the idea is that we want the whole body to be really in a place of comfort and ease here. So support is under the knees with the bolster. We have a pillow under the head or a blanket under the head. The arms are resting to the side. I even sort of placed like a pillow under Kelia's feet because we're on a hard surface so that it's just a little bit more supported. And then if you have an eye pillow or a washcloth, lay that over your eyes, right? Or if you have an essential oil, you know, use that. So we are going to move into our yoga nidra practice. So this supported Shavasana pose, before we get into our yoga nidra, I just want to share just this alone, right? Some people say, well, you're just laying there. Well, actually, we're actually in a supported yoga pose. And this pose alone can lower your blood pressure, can lower your heart rate, reduces and releases our muscular tension, reduces our fatigue, right? Improves our sleep, enhances our body's immune response. I mean, there's like a million benefits to taking this time to be here in supported Shavasana. So wherever you are, you just want to be comfortable. Yeah, make sure that you are warm enough. So if you do, another nice thing is to place a blanket across the body. Can feel really grounding, or a pillow even across the hips can feel really grounding. All right, so just to begin this practice of yoga nidra, we're gonna lie down, get comfortable, and close the eyes. Okay, just make sure that you're warm enough and that you can rest here for the duration of our practice, about 20 minutes or so. So the practice of yoga nidra is a practice of yogic sleep that will guide you to a state of consciousness somewhere between wakefulness and sleep. So the goal of yoga nidra is actually to try to remain awake as you listen to the sound of my voice. But if you start to drift off, that's perfectly normal and that's okay. So I'm going to ask you as we move through our practice to move your awareness to various bodily sensations, emotions, and images. Just try not to concentrate too intensely. Just allow the directions, the instructions to wash over you. The more effortless you can be in this practice, the better. There's nothing to reach for, nothing to accomplish. Remember, yoga nidra is not so much something that you do as something you feel. Simply relax and just be aware as we move through the practice. Allow the body to settle deeply and completely into the earth. Bring your awareness to any sounds that you can hear in this moment. Begin to focus on the most distant sounds that you can hear. Let your sense of hearing just radiate outward, searching out these distant sounds, following them for a few moments, moving your awareness from sound to sound without labeling the source. Gradually bringing our awareness to closer sounds, sounds inside the home, the house, the building, to sounds inside the room or the space that you're in. And without opening your eyes, just begin to visualize the four walls of the space that you are in. The ceiling, the floor, your body lying, resting on the floor. Take a moment to just visualize the body resting, the position of the body, your clothes, your hair, your face. Become acutely aware of the physical body resting on the floor. And now bring your awareness to the breath. Begin by taking a few slow, deep breaths. As you feel the natural breath flowing in and out through the nose, just become aware of the body breathing. Each time you inhale, feel the breath travel in through the nose and descend down the spine, pooling in the low belly. As you exhale, feel the breath rising back up the spine, releasing out through the nose. Remember not to try, just be effortless. Continue to breathe in smoothly. Breathe in smoothly, and with each exhalation, release all stress and tension. And silently repeat to yourself, I am practicing yoga nidra. I will not sleep. I will remain awake but relaxed. I am practicing yoga nidra. I will not sleep. I will remain awake but relaxed. Now just allow the breath to become involuntary. Sense your body at ease, your mind open and at peace. Feel your body opening to earth. Feel your facial muscles relax. Jaw, tongue, and lips all relax. Even your eyes settle into their sockets. Sense that you are being nurtured by your surroundings. Feel a growing sense of peace. The practice of yoga nidra begins now. Begin by first cultivating a sense of gratitude. Feel grateful for everything that has led you to this moment, right here, right now. Now it is time to work with your sankalpa, or your intention statement, something that you hope to achieve or do in the next 6 to 18 months. And just begin by acknowledging that your intention, your sankalpa, is in the service of something bigger than you or your life. So in the context of this intention being part of a larger reality that pervades everything, just begin to mentally create your sankalpa. And even before you say that intention to yourself, feel all of the feelings related to its coming to full fruition. Imagine you already have exactly what you want. As image and feeling merge, mentally repeat your sankalpa or intention 3 times. State it clearly and with the conviction that it has already been fulfilled. The sankalpa you make during yoga nidra plants a seed in the fertile soil of your mind to bring about transformation and healing. When you finish repeating your sankalpa, give thanks. Feel grateful that you have already achieved your desire. And we will now begin a systematic journey of sensory awareness throughout the body. You will move your awareness to different parts of your body as soon as you hear them. As I guide you through these points on the body, just be aware of the area I'm directing you to. Be mindful of it while you continue to cultivate complete effortlessness. Please bring your awareness to the point between the eyebrows. Now move your awareness to the throat. Be effortless. Become aware of the base of the throat. Move awareness to your right shoulder, right elbow, right wrist. Be effortless. Become aware of the right hand thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, palm of the right hand, back of the right hand, right wrist, right forearm, right elbow, right upper arm, right shoulder, right waist. Become aware of the right hip, right thigh, right knee, calf, ankle, right heel, sole of the right foot, top of the right foot, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Now become aware of the left shoulder. Be effortless. Left elbow, left wrist. Become aware of the left hand thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, palm of the left hand, back of the left hand, left wrist, left forearm, left elbow, upper arm, left shoulder, left waist, left hip, left thigh. Become aware of the left knee, calf, ankle, left heel, sole of the left foot, top of the left foot, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Now bring awareness to the back of the body. Become aware of the right heel, left heel, right calf, left calf, right thigh, left thigh, right hip, left hip, lower back, middle back, upper back, the entire spine, right shoulder blade, left shoulder blade, back of the neck, back of the head. Now become aware of the top of the head, forehead, right temple, left temple, right ear, left ear, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, point between the eyebrows. Become aware of the right eye, the left eye, right nostril, left nostril, right cheek, left cheek, upper lip, lower lip, both lips together. Become aware of the chin, jaw, throat, right collarbone, left collarbone, right chest, left chest, upper belly, navel, lower belly. Move awareness to the right hip, left hip. Become aware of the whole right leg, the whole left leg, the whole right arm, the whole left arm, the whole face, the whole head, the whole torso, the whole body. Become aware of the whole body, the whole body. Now we are going to cultivate different sensations throughout the body. Imagine your body becoming heavy. Feel the heaviness in all the parts of the body. The head is heavy. The limbs are heavy. The torso is heavy. The whole body is heavy. So heavy that it's sinking into the floor. Feel the body heavy. Now imagine the whole body becoming light, as though your body could float away from the floor and toward the ceiling. The head is light and weightless. The limbs are light and weightless. The torso is light and weightless. The whole body is light and weightless. You are rising higher and higher away from the floor. Feel the body light and weightless. Now for a moment, awaken the experience of cold in the body, the experience of chilly cold. Imagine being outside in winter without enough clothing. Feel this chill permeating the entire body. Cultivate an intense feeling of cold. And now allow the sensation of warmth to spread throughout the entire body. Feel the heat of summer. Imagine that you're out in the sun with no shade. Feel that heat from the sun radiating onto your skin, heat all around the body. For a moment, cultivate a profound sense of heat. Now bring your awareness to the space in front of your forehead, about 6 inches in front of the forehead. Imagine this space as the screen of the mind. It's a screen of consciousness where all dimensions of the mind can be seen and known. And on that screen of the mind, visualize the color blue. See blue. Now visualize white. See the screen of the mind white. Now see the color gold. Fill the screen of the mind. See gold. Screen of the mind green. See the screen of the mind emerald green. Now see the screen of the mind violet. Now see the screen of the mind rose. See rose. Now see the screen of the mind green. Now gold. See white. See white on the screen of the mind. Now blue. Screen of the mind black. See black on the screen of the mind. Imagine that the screen of the mind is empty because you are empty of all intention and effort. Your senses have withdrawn. You are effortless. As you relax and observe the blank screen of the mind, become aware of any shapes, colors, images, or patterns of light that appear on the empty screen of the mind. Whatever you see is the manifesting state of your mind. Continue your awareness of this space, but do not become involved. Practice detached awareness only. If any subtle images make themselves known, simply notice them without directing the images. If thoughts occur, let them come and go. Just continue watching the blank screen of the mind with detached awareness. For the next minute, don't try, just watch. Now I will name a number of different images. Without forcing, try to envision each image on the level of emotion, memory, and imagination as best you can. Jump from image to image as soon as you hear it, remaining completely effortless. Red desert, peacock feather, Buddha meditating, a good night's rest, the full moon, your reflection in a mirror, a foggy morning, the sun shining overhead, a bouquet of flowers, a tall tree, a white sandy beach, cool, clear water, a relaxing afternoon, waves on the ocean, a galloping horse, a dove flying overhead, laughing with friends, a mountain stream, a warm embrace, a burning candle, a temple on a mountain, a path in the woods, a vibrant sunset, taking a deep breath, a beautiful garden path, the sound of my voice, your body lying on the floor. Now become aware of the witness. Become aware of the part of you that has been observing the whole process of yoga nidra. You are now aware of being, only being in awareness. Only it's not you or your individual being, it's universal being. Unconfined, unbounded, timeless. There's no more I, no individual self. There's only the infinite. only the divine. Now bring your awareness back to the breath. Become aware of the body breathing. Reestablish a feeling of gratitude. Resting in the appreciation that everything is just as it should be. Be in total acceptance and gratitude. And from this place of gratitude and acceptance, mentally repeat your sankalpa or intention 3 times. Visualize and feel the fulfillment of your sankalpa, your intention. Imagine you already have exactly what you want. Mentally repeat your sankalpa or intention 3 times, feeling grateful for already having achieved your desire. Slowly bring yourself back to the feeling of the breath. Bring your awareness back to the breath, and at the same time, develop an awareness of your physical body. Your body is relaxed and lying on the floor. Feel the container of your skin and the clothes that are touching you. Notice the heaviness of your body as it rests on the floor. Take your awareness into all the points that are touching the floor. Without opening the eyes, begin to visualize the room around you. Imagine where you are in the room or the space and the other objects that are around you. And just lie quietly until you feel ready to move. Again, there's no rush. When you feel ready, just slowly begin to move the hands and the feet, wiggling the fingers and the toes. When you're sure that you're fully awake, you're going to gently draw the arms across the body or extend the arms overhead. And slowly bend one knee at a time. Place the soles of the feet on the floor and make your way to your right side. Again, there's no rush. When you feel ready, you can press into the hands to bring yourself all the way up to sit and just come to a comfortable cross-legged seated position and close the eyes. The practice of yoga nidra is now complete. And we'll just take a moment to just notice how the body is feeling. So with the eyes closed, just take a moment to tune into your own body. Right? How are we feeling at this moment? Is it different from when I first checked in with you? Just noticing how the body, the mind, the spirit are feeling in this moment. And just bringing the palms to press at the heart center as we bow the chin. Just cultivating gratitude for our time together today to recalibrate, to reset. And I'll just share just a really short poem that was written actually by a friend, Matilda Videgard. She says, called The Sacred Woman Pledge. I follow my sacred rhythm. I embrace myself in fullness. I am proud of my gifts and my beauty. I embody compassion. I have fierce self-respect. I celebrate my sisters. I value pleasure, truth, and trust. I treat my body as a temple and my life as sacred. So just honoring yourself for this time. I'm so, so grateful to each of you for being here. And I just honor the light within each of you. Namaste. So for anyone not familiar, namaste means the light in me honors the light in you. And I just thank you guys so, so much for your time. I'm wondering, I'd love to hear, I know it's 4 o'clock right now, but if anybody wants to share or just type in the chat, how are you feeling? I'll post the poem in the Facebook group. Absolutely. And maybe even I can send it out over email. Yeah. Yeah. How's everybody doing? So on that same like 1 to 10 scale, remember where you were at the start of this? Where are you right now? Yeah, I know. I love that poem as well. Happy to share that. Good. Oh, I love that. Jen says she's feeling light and just, I was a 6, now I'm feeling a 9. That's beautiful. Anybody else who wants to share, I welcome. I would love to hear how you're feeling. I also just want to share this with you guys. Yeah, we're just doing a quick check-in. Let's see. Oh, good. Relaxed and gentle. That's what we want, right? So imagine, Gigi, thank you, centered and peaceful. Imagine if you could do this for yourself every night, and you can actually, right? Restorative, these poses are available to you all the time. Your breath is accessible to you wherever you are. So I'm just so, so happy that you guys are feeling grounded and relaxed and feeling the self-love. That's exactly what we want. I'll just share too that I do have some free resources on my website. So I do have a yoga nidra practice on there, a short and a long. I have some meditations on there. I also have each of these restorative poses is under the resources page. All of the free resources are, but you can see the poses that we did today and learn the names, yeah? The last thing too, and I forgot to say this before, so I just wanna end by saying this, which is that if anybody would like to share a testimonial just about your experience, you know, in the last 2 hours, you can win a free spot in my course. So if you know you feel moved, you enjoyed this time, and you want to post a little testimonial of your experience, I would love that, and that will enter you into like a little giveaway for a completely free spot in that 8-week course, The Abounding Woman. And just keep in mind, you guys, if you are interested in, you know, joining me for this 8-week course that starts in February, you can message me with any questions through Messenger. And the 555 is available just until the end of tonight. Yeah. So I just so appreciate you guys, and thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you're feeling recalibrated. And yeah, please ask questions if there's anything else. Does anyone have questions before we go? I know we're out of time. I'm looking in my chat again. There we go. Okay. If anything comes up, let me know. I'm here. Oh yeah, and so thank you for just saying that, Annie. The 555 email went out. Yep, and that has the link. So if anybody wants to buy, it's right there. Thank you guys so, so much. Namaste, and I hope you have a beautiful, it's Aloha Friday here. So enjoy your day or your evening, wherever you are. The sun is coming out. Can you guys see this view? Like it is just, it's really beautiful. So thank you for being here, and just sending you all lots of love and lots of light. Mahalo. Thank you, friends. So good to see some of you who I haven't seen, Gigi. So sweet to see you. Thanks, everyone.